In this presentation, we're going to continue to think about the implementation factors of bringing coaching into an organisation. The objectives for this are as for the previous presentation. At the end of these 3 sessions, you'll be able to assess the factors to consider when implementing coaching, evaluate the keys to successful implementation, and plan the implementation of a coaching intervention. In the last presentation, we looked at these 6 implementation factors: goals and objectives, getting commitment and buy-in, creating a culture that supports coaching, managing expectations and preparing participants, the practical arrangements, setting up an evaluation system. We're going to carry on with this list and consider managing expectations and preparing participants. Here's an exercise on managing expectations. For this exercise, write down whose expectations you will need to consider and why their expectations are important to manage. The answer to the first question is likely to be all stakeholders, which will include coaches, internal or external, the people who are being coached, their line managers, the budget holder, the human resources department, and senior managers. And why are their expectations important to manage? Well, success depends on expectations being realistic and positive, and that people know the impact. Coaches will want to know about what is required, what outcomes, what will be the process will be, so they have a clear picture of how it'll work and what their involvement will be. The person being coached, they will want to know about what's going to happen to them, what will they get out of it, what's the process, what support will they get, be that from their line manager or human resources or wherever the support may be coming from, and what will be confidential and what will be reported. And the line manager will want to know about how will they be involved, how can they support, what outcomes will they get, what feedback will they get, and this will enable them to get the greatest benefit and to be able to do their part in achieving success. And to continue with that, then of course there is the budget holder, and they will want to have their expectations about what is the investment and how will they know they have value. There's the human resource department. How will this fit in with the overall human resource strategy? How will it fit in with their processes and systems? What will their role be in the process? And of course senior managers. How will they be involved? How can they support? What outcomes will they get? What feedback will they get? How does the coaching contribute to their overall goals and business plans? So, what are the barriers to successful implementation? Coaching viewed as punishment for wrongdoing is the first one. In some organisations, coaching is seen as a last resort for people that they really want to get rid of. It's viewed as a punishment or a way to get rid of people within the law. When this is the stance, it's a lose-lose for everyone. Another barrier can be the lack of understanding about the purpose of the coaching. This often happens in organisations that have not taken the time or effort to thoroughly explore coaching and its purpose. It's brought in an ad hoc way, and nobody is quite sure what they're wanting to achieve overall. Then there is the lack of understanding of the range and the scope of coaching as an intervention. This is linked to the previous one. This is where coaching is used without a clear understanding of what types of things it is best used for and how it works. Another barrier is when coaching is used to compensate for lack of leadership skills. Sometimes organisations use coaching to resolve situations which would have been better resolved by giving managers or leaders the skills to handle the situation rather than sending their team members to a coach. For example, in cases of bullying and harassment, where the behaviour would have been addressed a long time before it was brought to a formal grievance if only the leader had the skills to manage performance issues well. Then there is coaching given to the person who will have the least impact. I remember once being asked to coach an employee. I remember once being asked to coach an employee who was resisting a new initiative in the organisation. That was all well and good, but the person who would have benefited the most from the coaching was the general manager, who had introduced the change in such a way that it had been misunderstood by a large proportion of the managers and hence the employees. Coaching the general manager created a much larger change in the whole system and was much more cost effective. And then there is coaching used as piecemeal interventions rather than part of a strategy. Some organisations use coaching but do it in a piecemeal fashion. That is, there is no coherent strategy, and as situations arise, people decide that coaching will or won't be suitable. Some departments use it a lot and others not at all. Coaching appears to be far more effective when it's used as part of a well thought out learning and development strategy. So we come to think about the practical arrangements for implementing coaching. Write down what practical arrangements will need to be considered in implementing coaching. Your answers may have included matching the coach and the person being coached, whether it's an internal or an external coach, where the coaching will take place, is it on-site or off-site, when coaching will take place, so when will it have the greatest impact, what time of day will enable it to have the greatest impact, how often will coaching happen, what will be the interval between the coaching sessions, and over what period of time will coaching take place. What other ones did you think of?